Hello everyone, we are going to start with another session of Advanced Performance Management, and in this lecture we are going to discuss the professional marks. The second professional mark, which is analysis and evaluation. So let's quickly move and see what ACC examiner is actually expecting from us. This is basically a narrative by ACCA, which says that all APM questions will include this professional skill as it is fundamental to performance management. It is common to APM question to focus on evaluation of a report, method, model, system, or techniques, of which part may be the analysis of some data or information, right? So this is a very common question in APM paper where students are supposed to evaluate the performance measurement report, right? In performance measurement, they may ask you to go for benchmarking to analyze whether the company is using a correct benchmarking techniques or not, whether the company is using correct quality model. So whatever they are doing, that is basically examiner generally ask you to evaluate, and evaluate is an examination verb which examiner examine a lot in APM paper, right? So the first thing which examiner wants to do you to do is analysis. Now this is what ACC narrative is, and then we will try to break down all these things that how we can incorporate it in our paper. Analysis can be demonstrated by appropriate use of the data information to determine suitable calculations to support your evaluation, right? So definitely you are not supposed to calculate anything which is given in the paper. You are supposed to do whatever calculations you are doing must be relevant to your scenario. Let's suppose the company is having a problem of quality, and if you are suggesting any KPI which is related to quality, that will make sense, right? But if company is not facing any issue of revenue, and you are indicating you are advising company to have a financial perspective, revenue growth as a financial perspective, it's not a good idea because company is not facing any problem. Company has it's not in the target. So whatever calculation you are doing, you are suggesting must be in line with the situation, right? The ability to draw appropriate conclusions from data information. This is something which we will discuss in the next few slides, so that appropriate responses can be designed and advice given. Identify where data appears to be omitted or whether further analysis is needed to make a recommendation is also important, right? And a balanced appraisal to determine the impact of course of action, and then of course justified conclusion, right? So this is basically the narrative of ACCA, what ACCA actually wants students to do, right? Now, if you break down this to how we are supposed to do this, the first and the most important thing is understanding, analysis, and evaluation. So, you must logically investigate and process information to meet organizational objectives or respond to management requests. Like, for example, let's suppose that the sales revenue of a company declined. The company's objective was to have a positive sales growth, and unfortunately, sales reduced declined by 5% last year, right? So apparently it seems that the company didn't perform well. But context is important because maybe the situation is a situation where there is an overall recession in the industry. So if there is a recession in industry, of course you cannot expect company to grow. In that case, company has to make sure that it maintains the market share, right? So just you cannot just read the information and analyze it. You have to see the contextual understanding what is given in the scenario, right? Balanced argument is extremely important. Let's suppose examiner is asking you to evaluate a certain strategy, and what the problem with the students is that they generally start with telling examiner whatever is good for the company, right? But it's not a balanced answer. You cannot pick only the points which are in your favor. You have to pick other issues. Like for example, you are saying that RFID, radio frequency identification number, is a technique which will improve the efficiency of the division, and the company can of course reduce its number dependence on its employees, because now it will have an automated system, right? So this is a good part of the decision, right? The bad part of the decision is that you have to lay off certain employees, and laying off employees, how employees will react, how the motivation of other employees will get affected, that is something which company must understand, right? Or for example, if the question says that RFID situation you are analyzing and you are seeing that the current it will be a costly method, right? But still you can say that okay, fine, it's a costly method, you are not recommended to do so, but then there is another side of the story that something positive can be done because you may save your cost in future, right? So your argument should be balanced. If you are saying that everything which is good for the company, there must be something which company needs to make sure. Let's suppose you are talking about a balance scorecard and you are recommending that balance scorecard is the best model which company can use for performance measurement. Makes sense. But balance scorecard require a lot of information from the system, right? So do the company have that system? Company has a system which can support this idea, which can give some that sort of information. This is something which is extremely important. Supporting data and calculation. Now this is something which is important. Whatever calculations you are doing must be supported by some narration. Let me try to give you an example. Now this is a question which we did, right? This is a past paper question example, and we figured out that net saving will be 13,000. You cannot just say that net saving will be 13,000. You have to connect it with a scenario, right? Without connecting with the scenario, you cannot conclude. So this means that you can say that okay, fine, this project is expected to save 13,000 in cost per annum, which is in line with the cost reduction objective of the Bellevue. So that means that this is something which is in line with the company's mission statement, which is in line with the company's long-term objective, right? The system will also provide non-financial benefits, right? Since they already have a large inventory and are expected to grow further, the use of RFID will be extremely useful in detecting material cost and location efficiently. So we are telling them non-financial benefits as well, right? However, there is a need to identify how laying off employees will impact the motivation of remaining workers. They may have a fear of losing their job. Secondly, the company has made no provision of training costs, right? So this is something which is missing in the data, right? This is called the omitting information, that this is something you missed in the data. So we are saying that look, this is also important. That is also part of evaluation and analysis, right? If you believe that something is important and something is useful for the analysis, you should highlight it and you should tell the management that hey, look, this data is not given in the question. This is an extremely important piece of information, so the company needs to measure this, right? Then comprehensive reporting. Although evaluation has to be concluded by something. If I'm saying you evaluate this, you must conclude it with a very single line, and whatever you are concluding has to be justified with the reasoning that why you are concluding this, right? So it's just a summary of whatever you discussed. And in case of any limitation, some insufficient information, missed data, you have to identify that. The best idea is break down the information, whatever information you have, into components that what examiner wants you to do. See what examiner wants you to do, break it into different parts, see what you can write in each part, and then start writing. This is extremely important, right? Reason judgment, trade-off between cost and motivation. The reward system should be implemented on a trial basis to assess its effectiveness. So we are giving reason judgment that why we believe that this judgment is important for the company. We believe in this judgment, and whatever you are concluding must be justified with some positive with something, with some point, right? So this is an example. Now just try to understand what is given here in the scenario. In the current scenario, you may skip this, right? Although profit has declined by 5%, this should be interpreted in the context as the company has recently expanded into new market, which typically involves high initial cost, right? So we are trying to tell you that okay, fine, you don't need to worry about it. Even if the profit has reduced, don't worry about, because where we have expended, the cost is initially high, right? So we have provided justify we have connected with the scenario that you don't have to worry about that. At the same time, customer satisfaction has increased from 70 to 82%, a 12% improvement Now, this is the justification in completing your statement, indicating that new service strategy is having a positive impact, right? This suggests, now this is its impact. This suggests that the company may benefit from higher customer retention and improve long-term revenue. So you don't need to worry about this 5% because customer satisfaction has increased. This is something which we can expect in future. Therefore, management should continue investing in staff training as it appears to be a key driver of service quality, right? So we are giving advice also that look, you need to continue with this because this is going to have a good impact on the company's performance. However is extremely important because this will give you the another side of the story. No information is provided regarding customer retention rates or repeat purchases, so it is unclear whether increased satisfaction translated into financial gains or not, right? Further analysis in this area is required before a fully. So we are trying to give you an idea that you need to look at some further data. Further analysis in this area is required before fully informed decision can be made. Additionally, while the strategy may enhance customer experience, now I'm telling you what can be a bad side of the story. While the strategy may enhance customer experience, it is likely to increase operating costs further, which could negatively affect short term profitability. Now, we cannot just write profitability because it's going to be good in the longer term. So that's why we are saying short term profitability. So in short term, you have to be ready to take the hit, but in the longer term, company will have a good profits. Given the probability or profitability remain a key objective, this factor should be prioritized. Overall, it would be advisable to continue the strategy on a trial basis with careful monitoring to ensure that the long-term benefits outweigh the additional cost, right? So, generally, students don't write a complete answer. They are in hurry, so they write one statement and they believe that if I'm writing that the customer satisfaction has improved, that means it's a good part. I don't need to write that the company it will gain companies customers in future. No, you have to write it, right? Whatever you believe that is important for the scenario can have a negative impact on the decision, you must highlight that, right? This is an important piece of it. This is important because you are a consultant, you are someone with whom CFO is taking the advice, right? So you have to tell CFO, or sorry, CEO, everything which will be included in that decision, the good part, the bad part, both, right? So that's basically the end of today's session. I hope you guys got the understanding of this professional mark. In the next few days, we will be discussing the remaining two professional marks. All right, professional traits. So thank you. Take care. Bye bye.